All right. I wonder if I can pin myself as the speaker. I'm not sure if I can. Let's go ahead. Oh, and Amy's gone. All right, we'll let Amy come back here and then we're going to go ahead and we have Van. Fabulous. Welcome, Leanne. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome, everyone. Those of you who are watching this after the fact, I welcome you as well. This is Magnetize Your Movement with Energy Mastery. So I want to start by just taking a moment to do a little energy reset so we can all come together into the present moment. We'll let Jessica settle in here. And what we're going to do, I'll just give you a kind of look ahead. We're going to do a little energy reset, and it has two parts to it. The first part is we're just going to breathe some colored light into our bodies. Anyone who's done anything with me probably knows how to do this already, but I'll talk you through it. And the second part is a little exercise that I actually came up with last week that has been a real game changer for me. So first, I want you to just get really comfortable, get your body into a comfortable position. If you can, have both feet on the floor. I find that really helpful for this. I love to have my palms up because I'm just kind of like inviting new energy, but you can also have your palms down if you need to kind of calm and ground a little bit. And what we're going to do is breathe colored light into every part of our body. And we're not going to decide ahead of time what the color is going to be. We're just going to breathe and then see what color comes to us. And if you'd like to get into the chat, pop into the chat and tell us what color you got. I would love to know. So let's go ahead. We're going to do this 3 times. Ready? Breathe in. Mine was kind of a cotton candy pink with little blue sparkles that time. Let's try it again. And that time I got a kind of purpley midnight blue. Again. That one was a bright tangerine for me. Again, if anyone wants to share in the chat what colors they got, I'd love to know. Now we're going to do a little exercise. Oh, we have more fabulous people joining us. Welcome, welcome. All right. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to say to you, recall or imagine a moment. Oh, yay, Amy shared. So she got yellow, turquoise blue, and a peachy orange. Oh, gorgeous. I love that. So sometimes these can kind of correspond to the chakras that are needing a little bit extra energy right now. Creamy orange like sherbet. Oh, that sounds awesome. And then streaking lime and bright blue, and then golden amber. Oh, it's so beautiful. Yeah, the streaking lime and bright blue. I often get a kind of like Northern Lights kind of streaky green and yellowy color. I love it when I get the kind of mixtures too. Sometimes I just get straight rainbows. I just breathe in a rainbow. That's pretty awesome too. So for those who are just joining, we're just breathing some colored light into our bodies. Let's do it one more time just to come all together. And that time I definitely got a rainbow. Speak of it and it comes to you. Oh, awesome. So that anyone who's just joining us, I really invite you to just come here into this moment. Anything that was happening before is irrelevant. Anything that hasn't happened yet and doesn't exist. So welcome, and just be here in this moment with me. Go ahead and breathe some colored light into your body if that feels good to you. And now we're going to try a little energy reset exercise. I'm going to ask you to recall or imagine a moment of, and I will say a feeling, an energy. And so if you have a memory that corresponds to this and that comes up, that's wonderful. If you don't, just imagine what it might be like to have a moment of perfect, whatever this is. Are you ready? All right. Recall or imagine a moment of peace. Beautiful. Recall or imagine a moment of freedom. You got this awesome image there of my hair just like blowing back in the wind, like on the back of a pickup truck. Oh, that's a fun one. All right. Recall or imagine a moment of joy. Mm. And finally, please recall or imagine a moment of bliss. Whew. I had almost an out of body experience in that one. All right. So the point of that is, first of all, to kind of get us vibing together with some similar energies, but also to remind you that you have the power to feel anything that you want to feel at any time. Anytime throughout this or throughout your day, you can feel however you want to feel.
What?
Calling
I'm
or
sorry, I'm irritated. It's not you. What?
I'll wait till you're not irritated.
I'm fucking irritated.
Is that where you had left that pill?
No,
Oh,
that's
did I do
another
that?
one I went and got.
okay. All right now. So it's just your friendly reminder there. First question that I have for you, and you can come off of mute and answer this, or you can answer in the chat. What is energy? When I say the word energy, what comes to mind? What pops up for you? What does that mean to you when I say energy? No wrong answers here. I just want to hear what you think. Everything, right? Absolutely. Everything is energy. What else? When I say energy, what comes to mind? All of it. Yeah. All of existence, right? Energy. It's all of the things. Absolutely. Everything is made up of energy. And energy is constantly in motion. It moves through space-time in different frequencies or vibrations. And that's why we say vibe, right? It's your vibe. That is the energy on which you are you are vibrating currently, because you can only vibrate one frequency at a time. So that's the thing about energy. Energy is everywhere. It is everything, but it can only vibrate at one frequency at a time. So now here's the big question of the day, right? What is energy mastery? What do I mean by that? When I say energy mastery, what do you think that could mean? Am I saying you got to get your energy in like a little collar and whip it? Yes, Amy, thank you. I'm in charge of my energy. You own your energy. It is yours and yours alone. Nobody else gets a vote. It is not a democracy. You are a sovereign nation, a sovereign being, and your energy is 100% yours, and you are in charge of it. We control one thing in this reality and one thing only, and that is the flow of our own energy. We like to imagine that we have control over all kinds of things, like events, outcomes, other people's behavior, other people's feelings about us and about our behavior, but surprise, we don't. What we have control over is our response and the energy that we intentionally bring to each new moment. You are like a radio. Your antenna is constantly picking up frequencies and blasting them out to the world, whether you are aware of that or no. You don't control the volume. You don't control who gets to hear it. It is always on full blast. The only thing that you control is the station that you are tuned to. So when you walk into a business meeting, are you broadcasting, "I'm invincible"? Or are you broadcasting, "I'm invisible"? When you walk into a date, are you blasting, "I'm your Venus" or "I'm a creep"? I want you to think of a movie with a great soundtrack right now. If you want to pop that in the chat or come off of mute, please share. Star Wars is the first one that comes up for me. Anybody else? A movie with just like an iconic, amazing soundtrack. Well, you're thinking. Jurassic Park, there you go. Definitely. So when we're watching a movie, we're not just taking our emotional cues from the action, right? Jaws, oh, hello. Like, can you hear that sound and not get a little bit anxious? Dun, 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 right? We are taking our emotional cues from those soundtracks. The music is really, really powerful. And so this is what we're doing all of the time. We're walking around with this soundtrack blasting, and you think that people are responding to your actions and your words, but most of the time, what they're actually responding to is your energetic soundtrack. Lord of the Rings, yes, absolutely. So sometimes you come into a situation and you're blasting, "We're gonna have a good day," but you are met with a wall of "It's the end of the world." And you start to feel not so fine. And this is where energy mastery comes in. Not only are you not obligated to harmonize with a soundtrack that doesn't resonate with you, you can actually train the people around you to either come into harmony with your vibe or gravitate elsewhere. And either way, problem solved, right? We want the garden to weed itself. We want the garbage to take itself out. We want people who are not resonating with us to find people that they do resonate with. Not everyone is for you, and you are not for everyone. So the louder we blast that vibe and the more intentional we are with that soundtrack, the more we can attract harmonics that really resonate with us, energies that feel so good to us. So that's what we're going to work on here today. Let's talk a little bit about community magic, okay? When you master your own energy, something magical happens. This is when, like I said, the garden starts to weed itself. The garbage takes itself out, and more synchronicities, serendipities, those chance encounters with people that just like, wow, what an amazing person. I'm so glad I met you. Like Amy, I recently met Amy. It's just like, wow, I love you so much. I'm so glad you're in my world, right? More and more of these energies that just feel so good start to just be attracted to you without any conscious effort on your part. And suddenly you look around and you realize that you are surrounded by people who want what you want and value what you value. And you have attracted this energy aligned community. And it's freaking magical. And once you have a community that knows you, likes you, trusts you, and wants to be around your authentic energy, right? Sparking a movement is as simple as just openly sharing with that community what your mission and your vision actually is. If you just put it out there, they will go, yeah, that sounds great. I want what you want, so let's go. It can really be that easy, but it all starts with just feeling the way you want to feel in each moment. So before we move into the kind of core of this workshop, I really invite you all to take a moment to stretch, readjust, get a drink of water, anything that you need to do to be super comfortable. Because here's the thing. I'm going to neuroscience nerdy on you for a minute here. The more relaxed and comfortable you are, the more your brain gets into waves that are receptive to new information. The more your memory banks are open, and the more you are able to make connections between stuff that's already in there. So I want you to be super duper comfortable. All right? Yes? Excellent. I'm going to take a drink too. So, my friends, there are three basic elements of energy flow. The elements are awareness, appreciation, and curation. Or if you like alliteration more than you like rhyming, you can call that one attunement. Either way. The order here is important. I know we want to skip steps. We want to jump ahead. We want to get to the part where we feel really good, right? But please do your best to stay with me, release any expectations around outcomes, and just enjoy the ride, okay? Enjoy the process. I promise we'll get there. So the first element is simple awareness. The first step to any kind of mastery is observation, and this is no exception. So let's just take a moment to observe our own energy. First, we just want to observe the quantity. How much energy is available to us right now? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being like, I'm in a coma, and 10 being, where are you right now? And just pop it into the chat. I just want to see a number, 1 to 10. Where are you at with your energy right now? I'd say I'm about a 7. Amy's a 6, Elizabeth's 6. .5, very precise, Leanne. I love that. 5.5, yes. Beautiful. There's no wrong answer here. We're just checking in with ourselves and seeing how much available energy there is right now. Now, the next question is, what is the quality of that energy? So this could be, again, a feeling word, like at the beginning, I know how it feels to feel, or it could be a soundtrack, right? Like that, we're gonna have a good day. That's been on my brain today. The other one that's been coming up for me lately is just enjoy the show. So that's a big soundtrack energetically that I've been feeling lately. So if you want to share a feeling word or a song that's vibrating, resonating with you right now in the chat, feel free to do that as well. Now, my friends, if any judgments should come up during this process as you are observing your own energy, like, why am I so tired? I got plenty of sleep last night. I shouldn't be this tired, right? Remind yourself that is just a story that you are telling yourself. There is no right and wrong here, and just refocus on simply observing what is. So Elizabeth says Vibe Check by Michael Franti and Spearhead. I don't know that one. I'll have to go check that out. Sounds awesome. No right and wrong. We're just checking in. Where's my energy at right now? What does it feel like in this moment? Beautiful. So here, my friends, is your first assignment. I'm going to champion you to grab your phone and actually set a reminder on your phone twice a day. So this should be pretty close to first thing in the morning and last thing before you go to bed, okay? This is just a 30-second check-in, an energy check-in. to observe and record your energy in the same way. So what's the quantity, 1 to 10, and what's the quality? What does it feel like? What's my energetic soundtrack right now? If you can do that for the next 28 days, a full lunar cycle. So yesterday was a full moon. The next full moon is September 29th. So if you can do this for a full lunar cycle, it will become a habit and you won't need those reminders anymore. You can just take them off your phone at the end of those 28 days. But I find it really helps at first to have those reminders. Just a little like, hey, have you done this yet? And you might find, I definitely find, the more you observe, the more you notice. And so throughout the day, you might find yourself doing this check-in and just noticing, being more aware of where your energy is at, especially when you come into contact with other people's energy. You might notice it wanting to shift. And again, there's no wrong here. It's just, right now, it's just awareness. Just staying aware of like, oh, I see what's happening here with my energy. That's all that is needed at this time. Now, sometimes some people actually want to write it down. Like they want to keep a written record of all of these check-ins. Some people don't want that. They just want to notice it and feel it and then let it go. If you are a person who likes to look at patterns, go ahead and keep track of those things like on your phone or in a notebook or however that works best for you. If you don't want to do that, then don't do that. Whatever feels good to you, okay? But over time, I'm going to guess, whether you're recording it or not, that you are going to notice patterns. You're going to notice cycles, energy cycles. And that's because your physical form is natural. It is part of nature, and nature goes in cycles. All energy moves in cycles. That's just how it works. So you might have noticed that there are a lot of natural cycles that go in fours. There's the 4 seasons. There's the 4 phases of the lunar cycle. And there are also 4 phases, anyone who's worked with me before knows this, of the creative cycle. DOER, doer. So it's dreaming, organizing, executing, and revising. Now, I have all kinds of tools to help you with that, but I'm going to go ahead and just put this link in the chat so that you can check that out on your own time. So we're not going to get into all of those goodies today, but I really encourage you to just, as you're becoming more energy aware, notice that natural ebb and flow in these cyclical patterns. It's pretty cool to watch. Now let's talk for a moment about burnout, the B word. A lot of people have experienced or are currently experiencing burnout. It is an absolute epidemic in our world right now. Burnout is the result of trying to continually force or sustain energy artificially. It's when there is a blockage in your energy and you're trying to force that blockage out. And that burns you out. So returning to that soundtrack metaphor, there is a song to every season. There's a time to play "Baby, you're a firework" and a time to play "Go, girl, go ahead, let your hair down." And if you're trying to force firework energy, when you are in let your hair down energy, you're going to have a bad time. If you do that repeatedly, not only will you miss out on the beautiful value, the benefits of that let your hair down energy, you will run out of firework energy. And not only will you run out of firework energy, you will burn out the receptors that actually create that firework energy, so that when you would normally be able to feel that energy easily and effortlessly, you cannot. You cannot, no matter how hard you try. And this is why we call it burnout. But the good news is that those receptors can heal. You can recover from burnout. You can heal and regenerate and prevent further future burnout just by relaxing into that natural energetic cycle where your energy naturally wants to flow. and just allow it to flow in the ways that it's flowing and stop trying to control it all the time. When we get out of our own way, your inner being already knows exactly where you want to be. It knows exactly how to get there. And so every time we take that wheel and try to force it, we get ourselves off course. And so if we can just step out of our own way, we flow and the energy flows and we are able to create and innovate effortlessly. And so all we need to do is just trust that our energetic cycle is going to take us where we need to be at the right time, right? And that brings us to element number 2, appreciation. Now, appreciation, oh my gosh, such potent magic. I want you to take a moment right now to appreciate something, literally anything. Just take a moment and appreciate something. Maybe that you're giving yourself the time to do this workshop right now. Whatever it is, just take a moment and feel that appreciation. Does that not feel so good? Appreciation is a super high vibe. It feels wonderful. Now, gratitude practice has gotten super, super popular, and I love that. Gratitude is wonderful. But I gotta say, for me, gratitude is like a little bit tinged with the vibration of what's been overcome. Because gratitude for me almost always is like, oh, thank goodness that's over, right? Like, thank goodness I no longer have that problem. And so it's a little bit tinged with that problem. The solution is tinged with the problem. And so it's also linked to an external circumstance, right? You're grateful for some external circumstance that could change at any moment. And so appreciation for me is so much deeper than gratitude because it's pure appreciation of what is. Just appreciating what is within and without. At any given moment, we can just appreciate what is. And that immediately raises our vibration. So by appreciating what we already have, feel, and experience, we're telling the universe, more like this, please. And this is where that law of attraction comes in, right? The more we appreciate what we already have, the more we are attracted by and to more of that. That stuff just comes and finds us and draws us to it. What you seek is seeking you. And if you can just relax and enjoy the ride, you're going to get there a lot faster and a lot more easily and more fun. So now we're going to try this together. We're going to do a little internal appreciation. So we're going to do another energy check-in, but this time, instead of simply observing the energy, we're going to take a moment to feel appreciation for it exactly as it is. First, I want to remind you that all authentic energy is useful and worthy of your appreciation. Let's say you are feeling a murderous rage. You might appreciate how powerful and motivating that energy is, how it makes you want to take action, immediate, strong action. If you are feeling overwhelming grief and loss, you might appreciate the depth of love that you feel for that which is no longer physically present, because that's beautiful. There is no good or bad energy. There is only authentic and inauthentic energy. Authentic energy does not cause suffering. Let me say that louder for the people in the back. Authentic energy does not cause suffering. Resistance to authentic energy causes suffering. You know, when you cry, this happened to me the other day, actually, in a wonderful energy session that I had with Elizabeth. I started crying and I was kind of resisting the crying, right? And I realized it was giving me this terrible headache. And so I thought, oh, crying is giving me this headache. And she suggested to me, just let the tears flow. Like, stop trying to stop the tears. Just let them flow. And suddenly the headache went away. And I felt wonderful. I felt wonderful. I felt baptized by my own tears. So anytime you can just appreciate the depth of that energy, you can feel wonderful, feeling exactly what you're feeling. So we're going to do this again. We're going to breathe in some colored light just to recenter. And then we're going to, again, take note of the quantity and quality of our energy. But then we're going to do one more step, which is to find something to appreciate. Yes, I felt baptized by my own tears. You can use that as a testimonial, Elizabeth. Go for it. All right. That reminds me of a story, but I'll tell you later. Okay, so now we're going to breathe in some colored light together. Let's do this. Ready? Oh, that was so beautiful. It was kind of a sunrise color for me with little sparkles. I loved it. In fact, I'm going to do it again because that felt so good. Oh, I got a beautiful teal and green, kind of swirly that time, like a watercolor painting. So pretty. All right. Now, again, we're going to take note of the quality and quantity of our energy. It could be different than it was just a moment ago, so don't assume that it's going to be the same, but it might be the same. That's okay too. Just take a moment and notice. And now we're going to find something to appreciate about that energy. And I would love for you to type into the chat or come off of mute if you're feeling not feeling shy, and share what you appreciate about your energy right now. I'm appreciating how playful my energy feels right now. It feels really light and playful. I feel very experimental, and that feels like I have all the possibilities open to me. Mm. The Leanne says tempered and accessible. Ooh, juicy. Accessible energy is usable energy. Love that. Amy says, my energy is telling me I am ready for a refuel with food. Atta girl, listen to that energy. That energy has a very important information for you right now. Listen to it. Gorgeous. All right. So maybe what you can appreciate about that is that your body cares about you. It wants you to have the fuel to have more energy, right? So that's beautiful. Even hunger is something that we can appreciate as it is without wanting to change it. Beautiful. We can only start a journey from where we are. So to shift our vibration, we actually have to first accept and embrace it exactly where it's at. Now let's try some external appreciation. I want you to turn that beautiful appreciation energy outwards. So find something in your physical environment and let it know out loud, if you're not feeling too shy, what you appreciate about it. Like I have this beautiful amulet that my sister Rebecca made for me. And I appreciate that every time I look at this, it makes me feel really confident that I can shift into any reality that I want to, as long as I'm a vibrational match for it. And so this one is all about wealth. And so I can be as wealthy as I want to feel just looking at this. So that's my external appreciation. I'll give you a moment to appreciate something in your general vicinity. And now, if you're feeling inspired to, and please, only if you are feeling inspired to, don't want you to force this, okay? Nobody wants your fake compliments. But if you are feeling inspired to, go ahead and show some appreciation for someone in this group. You can go ahead and type it into the chat and I'll say it out loud. But again, only if you're inspired to do that. Now, don't be surprised if you start to experience more and more and more of what you appreciate, because appreciation breeds attraction. Like I said, the law of attraction is always at work for you. So what you are appreciating, the universe is listening and goes, okay, you appreciate that? I will send you some more of that. you will be naturally attracted to what you appreciate, and what you appreciate will naturally be attracted to you. So that said, oh, Amy, I love that. She says, I love your voice and that you can just pop into song. Years and years of practice. Thank you so much, Amy. I appreciate that compliment. That just makes me glow all over. So that said, when you experience an energy from outside of yourself that does not resonate with you, you are under no obligation to force yourself to find something to appreciate about it, to try to come into resonance with it, okay? You can just leave it be. You can just not pick it up, okay? It's like an offer that you're just not going to pick up, and you can just refocus your energy elsewhere. And I'm going to teach you how right now, okay? Are you ready? Because this one's game changer. I call this the feeling flip. It's been my go-to lately, and it has just been amazing for me. So it's one of my favorite energy mastery tools, super simple, incredibly useful. Anytime that you experience energy that does not feel good to you from within or from without, that is an opportunity to realign to what does feel good to you. So I want you to imagine that you're in a labyrinth. Okay. And in the center of this labyrinth is your deepest desire, everything that you want most, that reality that you just deeply, deeply want to live in. Okay. It's there at the center. Now imagine that you know the creator of this labyrinth, right? They built this labyrinth and they want to help you get to the center of this labyrinth. It is pitch dark in here. Okay. But what they do is every time you get turned around, they blow up an obnoxious whistle in your face. Okay. And that is your cue to turn back around. Now, when you hear that whistle, what do you think is the best course of action? Should you punish yourself for going off course and just like get into a downward spiral of negative emotion about that? Should you scream at your coach for trying to help you find your way by blowing that obnoxious whistle in your face? Or should you just turn around and face the opposite direction? I'm going to go with number 3. So when we feel an energy that we do not enjoy, that is our cue. That's the whistle that tells us, find the opposite energy and refocus your attention there. This is the feeling flip. So step 1, notice and define or name the unwanted energy. So for example, let's say you feel icky and you're like, what is this icky feeling that I'm feeling? Oh, I feel powerless. Okay. So we've now defined, this is the energy that I'm feeling. I feel powerless. Step 2 is to identify the opposite of that feeling, feeling powerful. And now we're going to remind ourselves that we know what that feels like by saying it out loud. And here's how. I know what it feels like to be powerful. Or you could say, I know what it feels like to have an impact, or whatever feels most powerful to you. And when you've reminded yourself that you can feel that you know what that feels like, then there's nothing stopping you from feeling it, and you can feel it. And I want you to just feel it and let it resonate for at least 10 seconds. Okay. So again, step 1, notice the energy you don't like. Step 2, define the opposite of that energy. Step 3, remind yourself that you know how that feels and feel it right here in the moment. Okay. I'm going to give you a moment to try that. So I want you to think of a time recently when you felt something that didn't feel good to you. And just ask yourself, what was that feeling that did not feel good to me? What is the opposite of that feeling? And then I want you to just radiate with that feeling. And if you are inspired to, I would love for you to come in the chat and just share what is the feeling that you're radiating with. Not the feeling that you're turning away from, but the feeling that you're turning towards. I'd love to know. All right. Now we're going to move on Turning towards peace. Beautiful, Elizabeth. Yes, peace. That's been a big one for me lately. Freedom, peace, confidence. Yes, Amy, confidence. So many insecurities coming up lately, right? Turning away from resistance. So what is the opposite of resistance? Flow, freedom, release. What is the opposite of resistance for you, Leanne? What does that feel like? Embracing. Yes, girl. Yes. Embracing. Gorgeous. Appreciation, right? Appreciation, embracing, acceptance. Feels so good. Beautiful. Thank you, ladies. All right. So we're going to move now to element number 3, which is either curation or attunement, whichever resonates most with you. So once you have mastered the art of appreciation, don't be surprised when you look around one day and, like I said, realize that you've effortlessly attracted an energy-aligned community. All of these people who want to feel the way that you want to feel have been attracted to your energy. And those people are going to attract other people so that over time, that community is going to grow. But as the leader of that community, as the one who decided, hey, I'm going to send out this energy deliberately, it is up to you to curate that vibe and make sure it stays aligned to your desired energy. Because otherwise, over time, it's going to shift. Now, let's talk a little bit about resonance and dissonance. I know I use a lot of music metaphors because, hey, frequency, sound, it's the same thing, okay? Energy and music, same stuff. So resonance is that positive energy that we experience when we come into energy with contact with energy that just effortlessly aligns with ours. And it's like a beautiful harmonic chord that just vibrates through your whole body. And it just instantly lifts your spirits. You know what I'm talking about? It's just like, oh, like that gorgeous angelic chord that's just like, yes. Oh, in every part of your body. That's resonance. And that's what we want to move towards. Dissonance is the opposite. It's that obnoxious whistle blowing in your face, right? That feeling of just like, oh, that feels yucky to me. It sets your teeth on edge. And like all you want is for that dissonant chord to just resolve back into harmony. You know what I'm talking about? Right. So that's that tension. Now, both resonance and dissonance offer us important information about what energies do and do not belong in our community. But remember, don't chase, attract. Be the beacon for what you're seeking by just sending out the energy that you want people to resonate with. Remember that your community is not for everyone, and not everyone is for your community. And that's exactly as it should be. There could not be belonging if everybody belonged, right? Make sure everyone knows where that door is and that they are free to go at any time and find a place where they feel that same sense of belonging. We are all at different places in our journeys, and we need different frequencies and different resonances. It's like locks. Have you ever seen, like when you go from a river or, a lake or something to an ocean, and there's these locks that take you. You can't just jump from one to the top. You have to allow that filling, and then you go to the next level and the next level. And it takes some time for that to happen. And so everyone's at different levels, and that's exactly where they're supposed to be. You can't go grab them and throw them into the deep end. They won't be ready for it. So just allow the people that are ready for your message to gravitate towards it. The people who can make the best use of your message right now are the ones that you are trying to attract. I like to use the example, the analogy of you are a palm tree and your gifts are coconuts, but not everyone has a machete and not everyone has teeth. And so if someone comes up to you and they don't have any teeth and they don't have a machete, they might end up just like smashing that coconut against your bark to try to break open the coconut. And that's not going to go well for anyone. So remember, everyone is free to go at any time. So what we're doing is just making it easy for the people who experience dissonance to self-select out, and for the people who feel resonance to feel more and more resonance and more appreciation, to feel appreciated and to share their appreciation. And that is what makes for a strong community. So when you experience dissonance, first of all, trust your intuition. If something feels off, it is. Remember that it won't affect only you. And if it is allowed to spread unchecked, it will shift the vibe of the entire group. Now, I had this experience myself. I created a group called the Parents Party. And when I was pregnant, it was really a godsend for me to have this group where I could come and talk about my experiences as a parent. But over time, it got a lot less fun and a lot more contentious. And there started to be these kind of debates and flame wars and people offering unsolicited advice. And instead of saying, hey, that's not what this group is for, and creating community guidelines to keep the vibe that I was looking for, what ended up happening is that I thought, well, if this is what my community wants and this is what my community needs, I guess I'll just let them have it. And it tore the community apart, and it's never been the same since. So I highly recommend that you in advance create curation measures like community guidelines, boundaries, and communication systems. Now, at the end of this workshop, I'm going to share with you a link to my free energy alignment workbook, which goes into detail on everything that we've talked about today, and especially this part. But right now, we're just going to focus on one part of that, which is the boundaries. Now, I'm going to go ahead and ask you this question. What is a boundary? I ask this because there are so many misunderstandings and miscommunications around what boundaries are. So I'd love to know, what do you think a boundary is? You can come off of mute or type in the chat. What is a boundary? One of the most misunderstood things. It's what I do and do not allow in my space. Mwah! I love that, Amy. Gorgeous. So let's talk for a moment about what a boundary is not, okay? A boundary is not a threat. A boundary is not a punishment. And a boundary is not a judgment against the person who has probably unknowingly just offered us energy that we find dissonant. A boundary is a framework that helps us determine which energies we do and do not wish to accept, so what you will and will not allow in your space. A method by which we can keep ourselves safe from those unwanted energies. So how we will say, this is what I do not allow in my space, and a way of informing others about that framework and that method so that they can offer us energy more safely, openly, and effectively. So let's talk about effective versus ineffective boundary setting. Again, lots of misinformation about how to set a boundary. So I want to start with how not to set a boundary, because I see this all the time, and I used to do it all the time. And I thought that I was setting boundaries effectively, and I absolutely was not. So let's say someone raises their voice to you in a conversation. You're just having a normal conversation, but then they freak out and they yell at you, okay? You might say something like, you know, I don't appreciate being yelled at. Could you please lower your voice? Can anyone tell me why that is not an effective way to set a boundary? Why is saying, please don't do that again, not an effective way to set a boundary? Any guesses? Well, it's too late. That's one way. Yeah. But also because you just handed them all of the power, right? You make it about them. Exactly, Leanne. You've just made it all about them, and you've handed them all the power. So what you're saying is, like, they're a tourist, right? And they just stepped on a landmine. And so you're coming up to them and saying, hey, you just stepped on a landmine there, so I'm going to put you in charge of making sure that no more landmines get stepped on. That's insane. It gives them all of the power, and it makes them wrong at the same time. So now when you've made someone wrong, they think, I'm a good person, I'm not a bad person, and so I need to prove subconsciously that I am a good person, and so I must justify what I just did. And so now they're making excuses, or they are doing it again to show you, hey, it's not that bad. See, it's not that big a deal. Now they're not doing this on purpose. This is just human nature. This is what we do. So when you say to someone, please don't do that again, that is 100% what is about to happen again. So instead, what you need to do is to remind both you and that person that you have full control of your own experience. You get to decide what energies you will and will not accept, and it is your responsibility to keep yourself safe from unwanted energies. It's not their job, it's your job, and you are taking that job seriously. And so to be effective, a boundary must communicate to the other person the difference between your feelings about them as a person and your feelings about the energy that you are experiencing, the specific energy that you are choosing not to accept at this time, the action that you are going to take to keep yourself safe should this energy be offered to you again, and alternative energies that you would welcome. So we'll put this into a simple little four-step boundary setting method, which is appreciate, clarify, inform, and offer alternatives. I'll put that in the chat in just a moment because we're going to try this. But first, I'm going to give you an example. So returning to that example of if someone raises your voice to you, you're in a conversation, they get a little yelly at you, right? You might say, hey, I appreciate how passionate you are about this. I can see that this really means a lot to you, but the loudness of your voice right now doesn't feel good to me. If it stays at that volume, I'm going to go for a walk and we can revisit this later. Could you try taking a deep breath, remember that I'm on your team, and try again? So what you've just done, you've appreciated where they're at, right? Shown them some appreciation. So you're not making them wrong. In fact, you're giving them some appreciation. You are identifying the energy that that's not working for you, right? This is not feeling good to me. And you're owning that it doesn't feel good to me, right? Not saying that's mean or that's bad, but what you're doing, it doesn't feel good to me. And I'm owning that. You're letting them know what you're going to do to keep yourself safe. So if you yell at me again, I'm going to go. I'm going to go take a walk. I'm just going to leave for a bit. And we can talk about this when you've had a chance to cool down. And then finally, you're offering them an alternative. But we could keep this conversation going right now if maybe you could take a deep breath and try again at a softer volume. Okay? So I'm going to put these 4 steps into the chat here. And I want you all to give this a try. Okay? Just think about a situation in which maybe this has happened to you recently, or you can just imagine it happening, and how you might respond in a way that uses these 4 steps. All right. There we go. So appreciate, clarify, inform, and offer alternatives. So while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and put into the chat here as well the link to the free Energy Mastery workbook that goes with this workshop. So it goes into a lot more depth on everything that we have talked about here today. And it has cool pictures and stuff too. So you can check that out when we're done here. Now, does anyone want to share their boundary with the 4-part structure? If you do, would love for you to come off of mute or go ahead and type that in the chat. In the meantime, I'm just going to go ahead and do a summary of everything that we have covered so far for the folks at home here. So to sum up, to master your own energy and spark an energy-aligned movement, become more energy aware by intentionally observing the flow of your own energy and the energy that you are offered by others. Attract more of the energies you find enjoyable by actively appreciating them, both within and without. And then curate your vibe by continually retracting your energy from that which you find dissonant, and refocusing and attuning to that which resonates with you. Remember, you are a sovereign being. Your energy is yours, and you don't owe it to anyone. No one can access your energy without your permission and your participation. You are never obligated to accept unwanted energy for any reason. And by the same token, you can always choose to accept any energy for any reason if that feels intuitively right. So I want to say, for example, as a woman, I've had experiences where a guy was offering me unwanted energy, but I felt like engaging with that energy was safer than not engaging with that energy in that moment, because he might have offered me something even worse if I didn't engage with that energy that was being offered to me. And that's okay too. Trust your gut and do what you need to do to keep yourself safe in any situation. The bottom line is that you have the power to choose, always. You are in the driver's seat of your own energy. All right. Are there any questions? If you have any questions, I'd love for you to come off mute and just go ahead and ask them. No, we have a bunch of rock stars here today.
Audrey, and I have a question.
Fabulous.
So this is kind of relating to when working as a coach, and I'm emerging in the life coaching field. So I don't have a lot of experience, but I've gotten training that says always match your client's energy so that you're not too far above where they are at. And so that seems in contradiction to what you're sharing with me today. Is that a different case? Is that a different way of looking at it? What can you say about that?
Great question. So remember we were talking about the locks, right? Where people be at different spaces, right? So what you're trying to do is find the people who are just one space below you. Okay. So they're maybe just a little bit behind where you're at, and you can bring them along and pull them up, pull their vibe up to where you are. If they are too far behind, they don't have the machete, they don't have the teeth, they cannot enjoy your coconuts yet.
Huh.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They need some of those basic tools to be in place so that they can make good use of your gifts. But they don't have to be exactly on your level, because otherwise, why do they need you, right? They're attracted to you because you have something that they want to experience more of. Now, you may also find yourself collecting people who are at your level, your peers, and that's wonderful too. So you're creating a network of peers and colleagues and collaborators at the same time that you are attracting a wider audience of people who need your gifts. And both of those things are important. Make sense?
Thank you. Yeah,
absolutely. Any other questions? I love questions. It's cool if you don't have questions. All right. So what I would love, though, is if you could notice, just observe one takeaway that you are going to walk away. Oh, Elizabeth, yes, you have a question?
Well, I was trying to write this boundary in the chat box, and I don't know if it's because I'm so fascinated by the conversation and the workshops that I can't find the words. But what I'm recognizing is the clarification part is really challenging. The appreciation is I appreciate your enthusiasm for doing this work together and exploring other payment structures that exist out there. But it's like, that's not what I need, right? Because I've already done my work to decide what payment options that I can handle here, and I extend that to you. But I'm having trouble like concisely fitting that into like a boundary statement.
Okay, can you give me what you've got so far?
Yeah.
So I appreciate your enthusiasm for doing this work together. Great. Exploring and exploring other payment structures that exist out there, but right. So you're great with the appreciation part. Okay. So it's just a matter of clarifying what is the energy that is not working for you.
Well, I mean, there are assumptions that I haven't also already done all of the discernment and processing around and gone through my decision-making process to be able to extend the offers that I have.
Right.
So
what you're not vibing with is this assumption that's happening. Okay. So it's defining that, but it feels like you're making an assumption about what I know and don't know. Okay. So just defining that and clarifying that and letting them know that they need to ask, right? So this is offering alternatives first. So I think what's happening is that you're going to need to go out of order a little bit, and that's okay. So what you want to do is offer them an alternative, which is like, maybe ask me next time what my experience is in this situation. Because if you assume again, then I'm not going to respond to that, right? I'm not going to respond to an assumption. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. And it was, I think what was getting me was the but, and like using, I can't even remember what exactly, modeling the example you had given, like using that but was really tripping me up, because it's like,
yeah, you don't have to use a but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it was like the whole ordering thing.
Yeah.
And I think it was just one of those things that as the conversation's unfolding, it was difficult for me to.
Yeah. And this is just a framework that, I find helpful, but you don't have to use every element every time, right? But it's good to practice using all the elements so that you can see like, oh, okay, like this is how I could have this conversation. But again, when you're actually in conversation, like rarely does it actually go in that nice, neat little framework, right? But the more you practice, the more that comes to you in the moment when you need it.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Leanne, did you have any questions?
So it's, I've moved into a new field in which my natural bubbly personality might be a little much, because now I am a bereavement coordinator for a hospice agency. So how do I lovingly tone myself, shape my ability, right, to like still be happy and joyous and doing this work, because it is really difficult and you want to avoid the burnout, but not everybody can talk about death with a smile yet. And I've been, I guess, because I did suicide and self-harm and borderline personality and all that for so very long, that I just have this like, there's both sides to it. And I'm finding a little bit complicated to sort of attune my current energy with what other people may be needing from me. So it's a slightly different angle than where you're coming from, but it's very applicable.
Yeah, such a beautiful question. So when you are dealing with people who are in grief, again, if we can find the aspect of that you can appreciate, right? How much did they love this person, right? How focusing on the aspects of that you can appreciate and connect with might be really helpful in those situations, so that you can find a vibe that doesn't feel awful to you to be in all of the time, but that feels more authentic and natural to you to connect with them on. And of course, there are going to be moments where you just feel kind of like bubbly and joyful, and they're not there. And so this is a matter of like finding other outlets for that energy, right? Finding ways and places where you can like be your big, joyful, out, like wonderful self fully.
Yeah. Yeah.
And seeking those spaces out and being like, I need this right now.
Yeah. And it's not so much the hard, it's not so much the sitting in the grief, honestly. It's the sense of feeling like I have to fix it or
Yeah.
make it better or whatnot. So what if I have to do this to myself and say, I really appreciate your ability to want to fix things. And maybe we just need to sit in it for a second.
That sounds like you just solved your own problem, my darling.
Okay, well, I suppose that's the point of it all, but yeah, okay. So it does work for yourself too. Awesome. Thank you.
It works for yourself first and foremost. It all has to start with yourself. This is why we start with that internal energy appreciation, right? Just noticing and being aware and appreciating our own authentic energy, exactly where it's at. Giving it some love, being like, I'm so glad you're where you're at right now. You're wonderful. You're exactly where you need to be. Being your own cheerleader, right? Because like I said, your inner being knows exactly where you need to be right now. Okay. And if you can just clear your mind and clear all those judgments and all those shoulds away, you can feel exactly what your inner being is feeling. And that's going to feel amazing to you if you can appreciate that. I would love to know what was a takeaway for all of you today. If you want to just pop in the chat or come off of mute and just share with me one kind of golden nugget that you're going to walk away from today with. I would love to hear that.
Yes, I love authentic energy doesn't cause suffering. It's the resistance to it.
Beautiful. I love that one too. So if you are so inspired, I would love for you to share that quote with the world. Please do spread it around, share the love. Anyone else?
Mine was about burnout. My takeaway is about burnout.
Yeah.
And that we can prevent and heal this by relaxing into our energy as it is.
That has been such a big lesson for me. I was as burned out as they come about 4 or 5 years ago. And I didn't know that if I could come back. I didn't know if I even had those joy receptors anymore. So I'm here to tell you that, yeah, you can get all of that back and then some, if you can just relax and let the flow of energy tell you where to go. Oh, Leanne, you set an energy check-in alarm. Add girl, taking some aligned action. I love it. Beautiful. I would love to hear how that goes for you and what you start to notice in terms of your energy cycles. Thank you all so much for joining me today. This has been amazing. I personally invite all of you to come and check out the Creative Flow community, where you'll find all the tools and support and accountability you need to attract that ideal community, share your authentic gifts, feel the way you want to feel, and just shift into that reality that you want to be living in. And who knows, maybe even spark a movement. So if you need any info on that, let me know. Mwah! Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you. This was great fun.